stabbed me. This nigga stabbed me. You wanna call police for that? You got bitch, nigga. You wanna call the police for that? Call the police for that? Call the police? Wanna call the police, nigga? Bitch ass nigga. You's a bitch, nigga.
From the pandemic to the protests, Portland has changed dramatically in the past year, and so has its reputation.
This is not the city we once knew. Businesses are boarded up and dying. Crime is skyrocketing, and the homeless crisis has reached a breaking point.
Is Portland over? Violence, vandalism, destruction. As Portland struggles through the pandemic, violent protests have damaged the city and continue to destroy its reputation.
I've been to Portland, I visited Portland, and I think it's a fantastic city. Currently, if you asked me to go to Portland, it wouldn't be on my list.
I have no interest in traveling to Portland whatsoever. And I used to live in Oregon, but I don't think it's as safe as it used to be.
Well, I was raised in Portland, Oregon. So to me, I think of the old Portland. I know now it's changed tremendously and there's a lot of trouble up there.
Peaceful protests hijacked by violence, city landmarks defaced and torn down, uncontrolled vandalism that has forced businesses to close, and a mayor and other leaders who seem overwhelmed, ineffective, and ill-equipped to stop it.
If we are not able to get the federal administration to back off and leave our city, it will happen all across the United States.
As Portland emerges from the pandemic, we're left with a downtown fenced off, boarded up, and dying. A homeless problem that was bad, but has gotten worse. And there's this. Everywhere you look, the City of Roses has become the city of trash and filth.
It was just a little disappointing to see how unkempt the city was, and the homelessness was in a bad way. It was worse than I thought it was going to be.
What's happened to our city, our downtown? Maybe you don't care what people in other parts of the country think. What about those who live here?
There's no reason that I would go down there anymore. It looks sad.
It's pretty sad what's become of downtown and the filth, and there's really no reason to go down there anymore, unfortunately.
You see syringes and stuff left out, trash and stuff like that.
The Portland that I see now is not the Portland that used to be. A lot of rioting, and the city itself has showed the signs of all the problems they've had there. The city just doesn't have a safe feeling when I walk through downtown anymore.
And I do my best to deal with it, but sometimes I don't even want to come outside.
And it's not just small businesses and shops. Just last month, protesters smashed windows at 2 downtown churches and for a second time, damaged and vandalized the Oregon Historical Society.
Well, not only were we vandalized in this incident, but so was a nearby church, which is very active in helping the homeless. And the fact that they would break windows there and break our windows just leaves you questioning what the message is, if there is any message.
The message has been lost. It's a sign of the times, and the signs are everywhere.
People don't want to come downtown. They don't feel safe. And even moreover, the small shops and the little folks are really getting hurt by this protests and the damage. It's just killing downtown Portland.
Doug Bean has been managing and leasing commercial office space for more than 40 years in Portland.
I'm not optimistic about the future of the downtown core without a change of how we handle the protests and how we handle the filth and the graffiti.
And the central business district, the heart of the city, is empty. Portland's downtown commercial vacancy rate has never been higher. It's a staggering 17.5% and projected to keep climbing. Portland's reputation has fallen dramatically among investors. According to this year's Urban Land Institute's report on trends in real estate, in 2017, Portland was the third most desirable real estate market in the country. This year, it dropped to 66 out of 80 cities surveyed. And it's not just the aftermath of the violent protests. During the pandemic, Portland's homeless population exploded onto city streets, and it continues to grow. Along with this, piles of garbage, trash, and graffiti. It's become an epidemic spreading into neighborhoods. This is a stretch of Southeast Foster Road near 120th Avenue.
Imagine you're picking up visitors here at PDX. They've arrived in Portland for vacation, possibly a business meeting. You head to the car to head into downtown.
As you drive west down Interstate 84, this is what you're greeted with on both sides of the freeway. As you make your way across the Morrison Bridge into downtown, it gets worse. But perhaps the most shocking scenes are along I-5 just north of Portland. What you see from the freeway only reveals a glimpse of the human tragedy and the debris littering the landscape. The full extent of the problem is captured from above, garbage littering the ground for as far as the eye can see. People living among the trash, the result of a homeless crisis that has spiraled out of control. Portland's reputation, a downtown needing life support, residents who don't feel safe, the humanitarian crisis of people living on the street, and trash that keeps piling up. Is Portland over?
I think that for Portland to not be over, there needs to be a change in attitudes among the broad community of leaders.
Economist Bill Connerly ignited a firestorm last January when his article, Death of a City, appeared in Forbes magazine. His pointed words about what's happened to Portland struck a nerve.
They said, yes, somebody's now saying what we've been thinking. But there was also a layer of people who were very angry that I criticized the city.
No, I don't believe Portland is dying. I think we've gone through a very, very difficult period. We still have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but this isn't the time to fold up the tent and walk away.
When you drive in on Interstate 84, maybe you're coming up from the south on I-205, especially when you're coming down I-5 from the north from Washington, and you see the tents, the piles of garbage and filth and the graffiti. How does that make you feel as mayor?
It breaks my heart, not as mayor, but as somebody who was born and raised here, who's lived my whole life here. Those right-of-ways are an embarrassment to all of us. It's an affront to our sensibilities as Oregonians.
As for the homeless crisis, I asked the mayor about something a director of a successful homeless program in another city said about Portland's failed efforts. In Portland, you have confused compassion with tolerance.
There is a very fine line between compassion and enabling. And it's really hard for well-meaning, moral people in the city of Portland, progressives, to come to the conclusion that sometimes the best love that you can give someone is tough love.
Confusing compassion and tolerance when it comes to the homeless, with violent protests and destruction, with the decay that is infesting our city. Is Portland over? It's only over if we let it be over and do nothing.